Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural Local Business Profile with Kevin O'Shaughnessy here from Schooley Mitchell of Red Bank. Today, we're sitting down with Marjorie Kavanagh, Panoramic Resumes. How are you doing today, Marjorie?
Great, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me here today.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here. So I guess, first of all, I have to ask, Panoramic, how did you come up with this name? When I think of it, I do think of a great idea of full view, really seeing everything. So describe for me, though, what that means for you.
I think you hit the nail on the head. So when I started my business about 12 years ago, I knew I was going to launch a resume writing service, resume writing business, but I didn't know how to name it. And so I sent emails to family and friends, and they came up with all these like glitchy things, puns on writing and things. And I thought, no, I want something that's just really out there and different. And then I remembered my grandfather, my very dear, dear grandfather. He started his career with just a 7th grade education. And he owned a lithographic company on Varick Street in New York City, and it was called Panoramic Lithographic. So I thought, wow, what a way to honor him, to name my company Panoramic, the full picture of somebody's career. And I even used his logo, and his logo was hand drawn. So I had to have a designer redo the logo because there was no artwork on it. So that's how I came to name Panoramic. And I've been very happy with that name and with the brand.
Well, that's fantastic. And it shows, like say, that, the passion you have for that as well, and harkening back to your grandfather and stuff. So hopefully you're not breaking any copyright laws, though, by going over. So
no, none at all.
Nothing going on there. So, okay. So how about just a little bit of background on you and how you came about getting into the resume writing business?
Sure. That's a good question. So my first love was human resources. I worked in human resources for 10 years in banking and in broadcasting. And then and that was all on the hiring side. And then when I started my family, I stayed home for about 7 or 8 years. And when it was time to return to work, I had the challenge that my son had very many medical issues. And I thought, well, how do I go back to work? Because more times than not, I need to be home. So it was all out of necessity of thinking, how do I have a career from home? Like not just any job from home. How do I make a career from home? And so it was just thinking about, okay, I can't do human resources from home, but I've hired tons of people. Why don't I try to now flip and go on the other side of the desk and help people get jobs? And that's what it came from.
That's fantastic. And how appropriate does that wind up being during this time right now, where so many people need to work from home? My heart goes out to those moms and dads who have the little ones, right, that are schooling from home at this point, scrambling around. But
oh yeah, that's a very big challenge, because when I started my company, my son was young, so he was running around, but I didn't have to worry about him doing his schoolwork too. So I can't imagine what that challenge is like today. Right.
Well, certainly tough times, but hopefully we're getting through those. So just want to bring up one point. Someone once had said to me that people don't buy from you because of what you do. They buy from you because of why you do it. Did that come out right? I'm not sure. But,
yes, it did. Yes, it did.
All right. Have you heard that? And what do you think about that?
I've heard that, and I totally agree with that. And for me, my why is because I truly believe that no matter who you are, you have talent. Everyone has talent. And my why is to help people not only know their talent, know their unique value, but to help them articulate that to the world. Meaning at any point in their career, whether it's for a promotion or it's for looking for a job, that they always know who they are. And the game changer of that is that they have confidence in doing so. So that's my why. And I usually tell people my why is exactly like the question. My why isn't my service. My why isn't the resume. My why isn't the coaching. It really is helping people know themselves, be confident in it, and marketing it to the world.
And with your HR background, I'm sure you've seen your share of horrible resumes as well as some great ones. So,
yes,
having that insight helps, and then having, that passion, like you say, to move on. So then moving on, adding to that, in today's environment with all this sort of DIY, do-it-yourself templates out there on the Googles and otherwise, how do you compete with something like that?
That's actually a good question. So the resume itself, how we write it, the content, that has evolved so much over the last 10 years. And also the way you put it together has evolved because technology has dictated a whole new type of resume. Employers use what they call applicant tracking systems. It's a software platform that manages the entire applicant process. Part of that is a screening of your resume. So there are technical and format requirements that you need to even get past this computer system and get seen by a human being. And your chances are 1 in 10.
Oh.
So I differentiate myself because I have all that knowledge. I differentiate myself in the customer journey. I am I make sure that the customer not only gets what they need, like bottom line, for example, a resume, but that I like to use the philosophy of holding them. I hold them through the process, anything they need. Most times my clients are going through something they've never gone through before. They've never found themselves in a point of unemployment. They've never needed a resume even. So I differentiate myself by really helping them throughout the process. And again, getting back to my why, it's not the service that I create, it's the service that I provide and why I provide it.
I like that. And I could see that. And it's interesting to say, a lot of people didn't have a resume. For me, I was in finance for 25 years and I probably didn't choose any of those jobs. It'd always just be like, hey, Kevin, come work over here. And then, hey, Kevin, come work over here. Right. I never really updated it. And you find yourself with people in a unique position, some on purpose, some not, who are actually actively seeking the job they want, the right one they want. They're not just going along and taking what's next. They have a plan in mind and you can help with that plan, right?
Right, exactly. And as I said, some of them are finding a need to find new employment for the first time in their career. And going through that process is similar to or mirrors the process of mourning. You're in shock, you're in denial, you're upset, you accept it. And it's hard. And you have that pressure of, if you're a provider, right? I mean, all of a sudden your income is gone, or you feel like your identity is gone. So there are a lot of things going on with people when you're working with them. And that sense of confidentiality and that sense of being able to speak with someone and open up to them. I mean, you're very vulnerable at that stage.
Exactly. And just to go back real quick to the do-it-yourself templates, I always think of jokes as like you say, there are certain things you're just not going to do yourself around the house. Like you can maybe try to, fix the faucet or something like that. But, if your tooth hurts, you're not going to try to yank it out, and you're not really fixing your own car. And to be honest, most people don't do their own taxes. So, when you're looking for a new job, that's arguably one of the biggest moments of your life, something that's really going to have a tremendous impact. It would make sense to go to a professional.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I like to say that to my clients too. Sometimes they feel defeated and they'll come to me and they say, I tried to write my resume. I just feel like they literally feel defeated. And I say the same thing, kind of what you just said, Kevin. I say, I can't do taxes. I can't manage a supply chain from China to here, but I can help you talk about that. So it's the same thing. Everyone has a talent. It goes back to that.
Excellent. All right. So let's speak about, I know you'll help anyone, but let's talk about the client that's really sort of, that you kind of go after. That's in your wheelhouse. What works for you?
Okay. Well, you're right. I will write a resume. I do write resumes anywhere from college grad up to CEO and board members. My primary client profile is the C-level executive, the COO, someone seeking a board position. Typically, again, as I mentioned, never having to need a resume before, entering a job search for the first time, and across the United States. It's not just, my business is located in New Jersey, but it's a virtual business. It always has been. So my clients are across the United States and they're probably 40 plus in age.
That's amazing. And do you utilize a lot of social media to get your name out there and help people?
I do. I use Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but I love LinkedIn the most because that is the #1 professional network around the world. And it serves that purpose. It is strictly, as they say, strictly business, where you can build your network, you can show your leadership in your field, and share your expertise and help people. So LinkedIn is my #1.
Understood. Okay. So sticking with that primary profile of your clients being that C-level executive, what would you say are the biggest challenges facing them today, or their pain points, so to speak?
Their pain point, it does link back to what I already described as far as, they're so vulnerable, right? They're unemployed for the first time in their career. But then another pain point is some of them have done so well in their careers that they kind of didn't cultivate and maintain a network. So now, networking always has been, always will be the #1 way to find a job. I can't imagine that ever changing. So when you find yourself seeing that you spent your career in your career and not working on your career, that major pain point is not having a network and having to bring it to life.
So what's the best piece of advice you're going to give someone who's in that position, who maybe hasn't updated that resume in 10 years, hasn't really kept in touch with the network they should have?
Okay. So as far as network, you start with baby steps. So I always coach them through using LinkedIn. I provide services on LinkedIn strategy, but the first step is actually to take a first step. Build a list of your first 10 primary people that you can pick up the phone and say, this is what I'm going through. I need help. And then from there, you go to your B list, your C list, and you look at and then you always ask anyone you speak with, you always ask them too, can you make a referral for me? And it's not typically asking for a job. It's, hey, can you give me some advice? Hey, can you introduce me to somebody? Because a lot of networking is really based on giving back and helping others and really cultivating a relationship rather than asking for something. But you always have that A list where you can do that, right? And as far as a resume, I really suggest people hire a resume writer. The time it takes to do the research and get your resume right is easily 40 hours. And you can spend much less. You can spend a fraction of that with a resume writer. You can spend maybe 3 hours with a resume writer from start to finish and not have the stress.
Wow. And of course you're open to, if do you tweak the resume sort of to specific jobs or interviews that person might have coming up?
Yeah. So the first thing, you always have to have a target. So the first thing we always talk about is, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Because, 10 years and prior to that, your resumes looked like a laundry list of your job duties. That's really what it was. Today, it was, what are you going to do for me? Now, saying that to the employer. Now it's the employer saying, what are you really going to do for me? Mm-hmm. So it's knowing the employer, knowing the role, and targeting each resume to that specific need or specific pain point that the employer has. So everyone has a base resume, and then it's a matter of tweaking it each time you apply for the job.
Exactly. Like just to get to those human eyes, as you said before.
Exactly. To get past the technology and to spark interest.
Okay. So just to move away though from, that C-level client at the moment, what also advice would you give to the new grad, someone just entering the market? What's the best thing for them to do?
As far as finding a job?
Yeah, well, as far as finding a job, putting together a resume, I know the old saying used to be, stick to one page or things like that. But, what's the new thing? If you're talking to a college grad and they come to you, listen, I just want to get this resume out there, where do you start?
Okay. So one thing for a college grad to understand is that a resume is more than what you did. It's also showing soft skills. It's showing leadership. It's showing teamwork. It's showing collaboration. It's showing what other people thought of you and what you accomplished. So that would be the first advice I would give them. For college grads, it should be one page. That is probably, or anyone entering a career, it should be one page. but that's the only level that I would say one page. Once you have 3 to 5 years experience, you can go over to that second page. But I would say to them to be mindful of what their soft skills are, the things that I just described, and really think about how you can differentiate yourself, right? Because when you're launching a career, let's say you've just graduated with a degree in marketing, there are so many people that are marketers. So you're really competing. You really have to think about how do you differentiate yourself? And even backing up as you're planning for your career, think about what your resume is going to look like. What are the jobs that you can take during the summer or while you're in school that can help build your resume and be meaningful?
All right, just a couple things to finish up. I mean, so for yourself, what would you say are your professional and business goals coming up for 2021?
Ooh, so I have very specific goals. Number one,
no doubt.
I believe in lifelong learning. And so right now I'm in the process of getting 3 certifications for personal branding. And that will help both the resume side of my business and the coaching side of my business to help people develop their brands, see their strengths, see how to maximize them, to see how other people see them, because that's really your brand, right? How people view you, what your reputation is. So I'm working on that. That'll be done hopefully in April. And then my business goal is to really build out more of the coaching piece of the business, and adding the personal branding as a specialty of coaching. So I would like to grow, I would like to have the education, the certifications, and then to grow that piece of my business much more.
So the business that you're doing, I would imagine you're also going to create some relationships with these clients of yours as well.
Yes.
Maybe we could just end with something, more on a personal note, like someone that you've worked with over the years and get in contact with after and, see them in that new job or new role that they had found.
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate that I've been able to build a lot of great relationships with my clients. And they've become almost generational. I can think of one client, I've probably worked with him 3 times through 3 different roles. And then I got his son, and then I got his nephew. So it's been very, very nice. And through my role, I get to meet a lot of great people across the country, California, Texas, Florida. I get to meet a lot of great people. So I guess that's very satisfying for me to see people flourish and then come back and want to do more.
Well, I can certainly tell you love what you do. And, they say that's the goal, right? Love what you do and you'll never work another day in your life. So I really appreciate you taking time to talk with me today. And I probably should find a different career than interviewer, but,
no, you did very well.
For now, it's some fun. So again, everybody, Marjorie Kavanagh, Panoramic Resumes. Please give her a try. Fantastic. And thank you for being my first guest here on Local Business Profile.
Thank you for asking me, Kevin.
All right. Take care.